Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I'm Tony Gerdeman here, as always, with Tom or Tom. How's it going?
Tony, it is time for us to just sit back and let the listeners do all the work of show prep for us, and we will just sit back and then provide what is hopefully at least a reasonably intelligent response to the questions they have provided.
That's not a promise. We just ask. I just put the question out there. Hey, you got anything you want us to talk about? There's no qualifiers in what kind of talk we're going to have, but we'll do the best that we can. We'll do 60% of the best that we can. It is, after all, the weekend.
It is. Everyone is working for the weekend, and then you stop working. So we're going to mostly not be working. However, at Glenn_Cashman, he is working for us with this question. Have not heard it for a while, but what about the whole Julian Sayin using his legs thing? I get that he was ignoring easy first downs at times, and that needs fixing. Concerned that Coach Day will try to force a square peg into a round hole again, though. That doesn't end well.
Because we've talked about, back in April, we did a show, like, what does the Julian Sayin running game, the quarterback run game, look like? And it doesn't have to look like a lot, but we also didn't really explore the idea of, like, what if he just doesn't want to do it, can't do it, and is not good at it? And that's a kind of a different, scarier question, perhaps. Like, what if they're trying to do it and it's just not there? And he reads it, but he reads it the wrong way, and he keeps it when he shouldn't, because he's just like, well, I'm just trying to involve myself. I'm trying to get my carries, and you want me to run the ball at least twice. I thought this would be a good time, and it was not. And we can go back to the CJ Stroud thing, where that whole year, in 2022, kept saying, hey, he doesn't need to run it because he throws the ball really well. And then when he ran it some against Georgia, it's like, so this is what it could all possibly look like if he chooses to do it. Now, I will remind people, Ohio State still lost that game, so I'm still technically correct. But the idea that Julian's saying they're going to try to force this to happen and it's just not going to, like, fetch just won't happen, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think they have a good perspective on this, where it doesn't have to be very, like, they're not going to ask him to run the offense through his legs or anything like that. I don't think you're asking that much from him here. I think you're looking for him to just sort of the threat, the implied threat. This is, you're robbing a bank and you're handing a note to the teller and you're, like, implying that you have a weapon, but you're not actually, it doesn't have to be. It's just like, you have to make them think that you have. Now, this is not me advising you to rob a bank. That's not what this is. However, if you can sort of make the defense think, well, what if he does? What if he does have legs that he can use to pick up a first down here? And you do it a few times, and then they have to respect it. And that just equalizes the numbers. That's it. That's all you're looking to do, is you're just looking to equalize the numbers a little bit, to be the +1 in the run game that Urban Meyer always talked about. That does not mean they need to run QB power every time it's 3rd and 2. That's not what this is going to look like this year. But could they potentially just have him be able to, hey, you pick up, you go back to the Carson Beck against the Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl. Can you just pick up, hey, it's 3rd and 6. It doesn't have to look great. It does not have to be the most athletic, wonderful, fluid thing you've ever seen, or, incredibly explosive. Can you just run, and it doesn't have to look good, but can you just pick up 6 1/4 yards when you need, when it's 3rd and 6? That's all you got to do. And you got to do that just a couple times. And yes, that helps move the chains, but also then the defense has to just keep an eye on you. They have to account for you in the run game, so that then when you're carrying out your fake, they can't just ignore the fact that you're carrying out your fake after you hand the ball off. That's it. It's not, there's not a, this is not the only thing that they're going to be doing. This is not something that they're going to be, like, leaning on. It's just, it's a club you have to have in your bag. And, ideally, you're not using your sand wedge very often, but you need to have a sand wedge in your bag. So, Tony, there you go. Whether you wanted it explained in terms of golfing or bank robbery, that's my view on the Julian Sayin thing.
I usually need a rough wedge, or like woods wedge, You're searching for your ball in the trees somewhere, and then he's actually just pick it up and throw it back out onto the fairway with a good lie. Carson Beck, because I was bringing up his stats before you mentioned it. He rushed for 43 yards last year. 23 of those came against Ohio State. Over the course of the season, he averaged 2 feet per rush. Against Ohio State, that was 10 feet per rush. And you could say that was the difference in the game. They got the most out of every single inch that they needed. Miami did in that game, whether it was throwing the ball or Carson Beck, just a couple of scrambles in there where there was a 3rd and 13 in there that he picked up that should have never happened. And if you can get one of those a game from Julian Sayin in the big games, that could be the difference between winning or losing, just as the Carson Beck scramble may have been the difference between winning and losing. And we know Sayin is mobile enough. He can throw on the run well. He can get out and move. He's certainly not a statue. He's not 6'5", 230, and there's he makes his bones by just getting rid of the ball quickly because he's not going to outrun anybody. And he doesn't necessarily need to outrun anybody either. He just needs those quick decisions. Those decisions have to be made in terms of, if I run now, I've got a better shot of picking up the first down. If I wait, I'm not going to get there. So you're just adding another factor into read 1, read 2, run, that sort of thing. And frankly, when you had Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith and Max Clare, I can understand it, and Brandon in understand just like going, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know that you've got that this year. You've got one, and I don't know where the scramble portion is. Is that 3? Is that 4 in this? We need to see more from the wide receivers. But and certainly you could say the same thing with C.J. Stroud. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like he had Kate Stover as well. He had Travion Henderson. You've got a number of guys that you can just go through without thinking, well, I better run. You've got guys options that you can just get rid of the ball that way. This year, I don't know if those options I don't think they are as plentiful. We'll see how well they emerge and whether those options are better than taking off and running. But I think he can scramble. I don't think he's going to be your power quarterback. I don't know how many sneaks we'll see. Honestly, you might want to see some early in the season against the non-conference just so you've done it before, so that you're not doing it against Michigan or Indiana and failing. So there might be some opportunities for that, but I don't think that's something you're going to certainly hang your short yardage hat on. But I don't see this being a square peg, round hole. I think if Carson Beck can do it, then anybody can do it. But I think he's mobile enough to get, 8 to 12 yards at any given point in any given game over the course of a season. Will he rush for the 200-yard mark? Will he hit that Mendoza line? I don't know. I think he has the ability to do it. I just don't know if the attempts are going to be there.
Well, I'm just sort of thinking through last season, and I know he had a decent scramble against Washington, and he might have ended up, that might have been one where they overturned it on replay and he was half a yard short on 4th and 6 or something like that. But you've seen him do this. This is something he can do. And it's just a matter of, is he going to do it one more time a game than he did last year? That's really all you're looking for. So this is not you're reinventing the offense around this. This is not you're asking him to do something he's never done before in his life. This is just, that thing you did sometimes, do it ever so slightly more this year, and that might literally be all you're looking for.
He rushed for 12 yards on 4 attempts against Washington, and these are all sacks included. 13 yards and 2 attempts against Penn State. To me, that's almost a perfect outing for him. Yeah. 2 rushes, 13 yards. You've convinced them that you have the ability to do this. But even 4 for 7 against Michigan, you want to see more, obviously. But then you get to the 2 postseason games where the defensive ends and defensive line as a whole just destroyed Ohio State, and that was negative 29 yards on 6 attempts and negative 42 yards on 5 attempts against Miami. So you're losing 71 yards, and he rushed for negative 44 on the season, and 71 of those negative 44, negative 71 of those negative 44 came in that game. So he had a positive rushing stat line before those two games. Yeah, and just do a little bit more, and not just a little bit more, but when it's there, take it. In terms of the reads, like give him some reads to pull it and go, and maybe do that early. That way, if you don't like doing it, then you don't have to worry about doing it late, but you might still convince somebody that you could do it. I think those opportunities are there, especially as the running backs get overloaded, and because it's always annoying to watch, and it's a give, because if he would have kept it, he could be running free forever. It's like, well, clearly, I cannot believe that's a read. I refuse to believe that's a read, because you would never want to think like your quarterback is so blind to this and so reticent to do this that they're just going to give the ball away on this when they see that the end's crashing on the running back and there's just complete freedom out there. Maybe just give him more reads, and he doesn't even have to keep many of them, or certainly doesn't have to keep most of them. Just make them more reads than they have been. And and you and Ross are always talking about the RPO situation here as well, where the pass versus the give is the reading that they're doing. But I'm saying just give him more opportunities to read on the runs without even a pass being called. It's just a run, whether he keeps it or gives it. That's up to what he sees. I think more of those will help both the running back and the quarterback, and maybe even the RPO once they're incorporating that as well.
And with Arthur Smith now being in charge of the offense, I think you're probably going to see a little bit more of that. Again, every time we talk about Arthur Smith, we talk about the fact that what is he known for? He's known for creativity and diversity in the run game. So I think you're going to see more of that. And again, it does not need to be you're reinventing the wheel from first principles. You need to do a little bit more. If he ended, I don't know exactly where he ended the regular season, 29 or 30 yards plus positive in terms of rushing coming out of the regular season. If he can just get between 5 and 10 more yards per game, that puts you pretty close to 200 yards rushing. I mean, it's not that much to get him to where he, even to the number that you've sort of generally viewed as, 200, 250, something like that. You're not looking for that much more. He's shown in the past that he can do it. They're obviously going to be selective. I don't think you're going to see him running the ball a ton against Ball State. I don't think you're going to see him running the ball a ton against Kent State, just like you didn't see JT Barrett running the ball a ton in those kind of games. But when you need to, when you have to, I think you are going to see him pull one against Texas. I think you are going to see him maybe try and pick up a first down with his legs against Texas. When you need it, it's there. And I think it is going to be there to the degree that it needs to be.
Trying to set the over-under in his season high in carries, removing sacks. I feel like I'm around 5.5. And I think I might go over that. So then if I go 6.5, I'm like, boy, that's
a lot.
Yeah. So I'm going to set it at 5.5. Do you think he will go over that number, or you think he stays under that number in terms of just straight carries on his part, whether they're scrambles, reads, whatever?
I was going to say 4.5, so I'll go under, but we're in the same basic ballpark. Mm-hmm. Again, this does not need to be just a core piece of the offense. It is, if it's not sacks, 5. We'll say 5. I'll take the under on 5.5, but 5 rushes. Just do it once a quarter. That's it. Like that would be plenty. It just you don't need that much. You just need something, and he's already shown he can do something. So this is one of the things where it's like, yeah, you want more, but this is just not Copernican thought. Like this is the first time we've ever thought about doing it. It's like they did this last year. You're just probably looking at doing it a little bit more.
Yeah, we're not asking to smoke the whole pack. Just one extra cigarette. So
bank robbery, cigarette smoking, golf, so many bad habits we're talking about here on today's show.
So do you guys watching or listening, do you think this is a square peg round hole? I mean, this is what people have been asking for. So if you get it, you can't complain. And I'm not saying it's all your fault, but Be careful what you wish for. I'm not saying that at all. I think he's going to be fine. And then, of course, the rest of the offense will help him out. So if you are watching, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the Buckeye Insiders channel if you have not yet done so. You can find us at youtube.com/@BuckeyeInsiders. The BuckeyeInsiders.com website still being built. You can go there now, put your email address in. We'll send you updates. And, of course, if you're listening on the audio side, go ahead and subscribe, rate and review the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. Do the same thing for Buckeyes tomorrow morning. And Chuck and I are planning on recording another episode of the Time and Change Will Surely Show, talking about Ohio State linebackers here. You can look forward to that as well. That will do it from here. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will talk to you all later.